Episode 291.
I would have gotten coaching before we started the business. I would have hired a coach the minute Neil and I decided this is what we were going to do in January of 2012. I would have been on the horn with a business coach. It's only, you don't know what you don't know, and we just didn't even know they existed at that point.
Welcome, aftermarketers, to Remarkable Results Radio. Listen to learn just one thing from today's episode on your journey to remarkable results. Welcome, aftermarketers throughout North America and around the world, to episode 291 with Bambi Crozier. You know, her mission is to change the face of the automotive. Hey, here's thanking Federal Mogul Motor Parts and Garage Gurus. Search for parts and get the latest technical updates. Also, sign up for their new Garage Rewards loyalty program at their website, fmmotorparts.com. Now, if you don't know, there's much to discover on the remarkableresults.biz website. If you're a new listener, then welcome. You'll find what you can learn to be priceless. I can only hope that you find the inspiration from the content library to help you on your own remarkable pathway to success. Utilize the website, specifically the tag cloud, to narrow your focus and listen to episodes that will support any area that you're currently working on. So much quality content brought to you by your own aftermarket colleagues. And the hottest free training ticket in town is the Town Hall Academy. Every episode is available on the web and smartphones everywhere. And the archive lives at remarkableresults.biz/academy. And you can get social with me and the podcast. Find all the links at remarkableresults.biz/social. And welcome new Facebook friends, Gary Ullman Sr., Vince Lucido, Jay Hu, Nelson Vargas, and Nathan Cheney. And new LinkedIn connections, Anthony J. Solito and Aaron Conklin. Hey, thanks for connecting. And thanks for listening while commuting, being at the gym, or even at lunch. Those are all smart moves. Now meet Bambi Crozier. She and husband Neil own Car Clinic in Lowell, Arkansas. You may also know Bambi as an admin moderator of the Auto Shop Owners Group on Facebook. Find the episode show notes and the Car Clinic shop profile at remarkableresults.biz/E291. When she worked for AT&T, she always knew the importance of customer service, but was overwhelmed by the automotive and knew of the negative stereotypical image. When her and Neil decided to go into business, her number one goal was to change the image of the industry. She knew that Neil had the heartful caring of doing quality, trustworthy work. He learned his trade in the UK, his home country. All she had to do was learn the business. With her background in customer service, she and Neil set out on a mission. They knew that they needed to learn about their customers by asking them a whole lot of questions. She also discovered that technicians are car doctors and that her customers love the down and dirty truth about their vehicle needs. Listen to her story of startup and transformation and image changing in her quest in building lifetime relationships with her customers. She knows that the rapid change in automotive tech and the speed of business means that we all need to pay attention to the changes and adapt. She is a detailed person who needs to know the why behind everything she does. Now enjoy a very candid discussion with Bambi Crozier. Hey, a warm welcome to Bambi Crozier from Car Clinic Auto Service and Repair in Lowell, Arkansas. Hi, Bambi.
Hello, Carm. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. Hey, you and husband Neil, huh?
Yes.
How long you been at it?
I have been in this industry coming up on 6 years, and Neil has been in this industry since 1991, 1992.
91 and 92. And something I know about Neil that you told me is he's from the United Kingdom.
He is born and raised in Wolverhampton in the UK. Mm-hmm.
Any language problems between you and him?
A lot. When he asks for parts under the bonnet or in the boot, or he asks for felt tips or, spanners, what is that? Challenging.
Is he still doing that? Has he adopted to the English way yet, or to the American way?
A little bit. He's got a little UK English going on. Still calls them windscreens. They're not windshields. What we find, it's the car park, not the parking lot. And what we find is that our staff and our clients actually like the uniqueness of it and that it's different.
I always love listening to people that have an accent. I'm drawn to that. And I'm sure your customers just love to hear things differently.
They do. They absolutely love to hear him talk, for sure.
Well, thank you for that background. Hey, so you said our vision is to change the face of automotive.
That's right.
What a great vision that is. Can you fill me in on that passion?
I can tell you that automotive for me prior to Neil was a scary thing. And you take your car in, you don't know what they're talking about. You don't feel like you are empowered in the least. You just have to trust. And that is an overwhelming feeling for anyone, whether you're a man or a woman. It's overwhelming when you don't know what you don't know. And when I met Neil and learned what he did, and I would watch how people treated him, whether it was in the workplace or it was in just his personal life. And I just watched this unbelievably brilliant and talented man who could just sit there and look at a car and think about it and ask a couple of questions, and you could almost like see the cogs moving, right? And I just found such brilliance. Yet society in and of itself would downplay that. Well, can't you just plug it in and tell me what's wrong? What? No, sir. No, sir. It's not that simple. And the brilliance that he has kind of overwhelmed me. So basically, I saw this brilliant man, and I saw this society's view of that, and just about every mechanic, auto technician, auto shop owner that I spoke with and I've talked to has this same God-given skill set and talent, and people describe them. Here's how people describe Neil, and here's how people describe just about every shop owner I've ever encountered or mechanic I've ever encountered. Humble. Would give you the shirt off of his back, would do whatever he could to make sure that you were comfortable, kind-hearted, generous. And then you take the total opposite view of auto repair shops in the media. They're rip-off artists. They're gonna con you. They're gonna lie to you. They have no integrity. They're trying to steal from you. And I thought, how can this be? You know, I'm new to this industry, right? I came from telecom and a legal background, and I sat here and I kind of watched this whole thing transpire and open up in front of me. And I thought, how can this be this kind-hearted, generous, loving teddy bear of a man who would do anything for the people in front of him be described like that in public?
Well, how cool it was that you had no interest in the business. You didn't grow up in it. You weren't a shop owner, and you're observing this. I guess it's such a fresh outlook.
It was eye-opening. If nothing else for me, it was very eye-opening. And so when Neil and I moved to Arkansas, I worked for AT&T, and we moved here, and I was surplused with AT&T along with about 2,500 people. And I didn't want to move back to a hub area. So we were going to stay in Arkansas. There was not a position for me here. We had to make a decision. What do we want to do? So we looked at a couple of different business models, and the need in Northwest Arkansas was for someone who had strong import capabilities. Obviously, growing up in the UK, the European market is very near to him. He knows it well. And we said, okay, here's a niche for us, and we can do well in this. And so we opened this market, and we started to experience, and then I really got a good firsthand view of what was going on, because now I'm working with him day by day, and I can see the mindsets coming in. And thankfully, I had such great training from AT&T on handling customer service. I started at AT&T answering the telephone. So you would call me upset about your bill. I'd have to make sure that you were happy and get your bill right. And then I have to turn around and sell you some product, right? It's the worst experience ever. But I liken it to automotive because these customers are coming in and something's broken down. Their world is on fire, and they can't go without their car. And now I need to not only fix their problem, but I need to make sure that they are proactive so this doesn't happen again. So I need to tell them about the maintenance on their car that they've neglected or not done.
So they're upside down on their car and, they're coming in. I don't know if it's fear that they have to get something fixed and they have to part with some money, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
What kind of levers were you pulling in that customer experience in the early days with your passion of wanting to change the image? What were you doing?
I'll tell you what I was doing is I was relating to them on a personal level. I was asking a lot of questions that you might not ask typically. How do you use this car? What's your long-term vision for this car? Who travels in the car with you? Are you in short stints? Are you in long stints? Tell me about your experience, because your experience may be completely different from mine and completely different from my technicians. And as we started to hire, as we grew and we started to bring on technicians, I found we operate as a human. We operate based on my own set of preconceived notions and experiences. And I just think that everybody else thinks like me, and they don't. And so getting that technician to tell me, they're paying, you're my doctor, you're my car doctor, and here's your responsibility. It's not to put this car back the way you would handle it, or to worry about their checkbook, or to worry about any of that. Your responsibility is one, and that is to tell me with complete expert opinion what is wrong with this car and what it's going to take to get the car from here back to like it came out of the showroom floor. That's your job. Everything else is up to the customer. And you don't judge. You don't tell them, well, we'll just tape it back. No, you don't treat them like it's your car. Because mechanics' cars are the worst, honey. They're the worst, right?
Yeah, the shoemaker that has the holes in his shoe.
That's right. And we know all the little fixes just to get by, because we don't have time to do it the right way if we've got 12 customers waiting on us. So mechanics in general would just, a lot of them, they're kind and they're worried about somebody else's checkbook and they're concerned. And so they want to just do a little fix. But what they don't understand is that just that little fix, what's going to happen is it's going to fail again.
Yeah, what happens? Someone leaves, then something happens to the vehicle within a month, and they said, I was just there. Why didn't they tell me about it? Why didn't they fix this? Why do I consider them my go-to place for automotive repair when it seems like I have more that needs to be done all the time? It's a great philosophy to have. Your customers are accepting of this?
Highly accepting. Are you kidding? They tell me, listen, Bambi, this is why I keep coming back to you. Number one, I'm going to get the down and dirty truth. You're not going to sugarcoat anything. You're not going to try to tell me I can limp it along. I'm coming to you for an expert opinion, and that's what I'm getting. Period.
Bambi, if they decide against something and then come back, do you ever get at, you were right, I should have done that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. More so with newer customers than with our existing customer base. But absolutely.
But the beauty of that is you've really then been open and honest and trustworthy by really describing everything A to Z that the car needs based on their need. And if they decide no, you didn't lose that customer. You just lost the opportunity at that time. It's going to come back.
Right. The value in a client isn't in the here and now. The value in the clients is in the lifetime, in the kids, in the grandkids, in the referrals. That's the value. So I'd tell customers, I told one just a couple of weeks ago, he emailed and he said, hey, you guys took care of my VW and you did a great job last month. And you had mentioned a couple of things that I needed. And I was wondering if I bought the parts, could I bring it in and you guys do the work? I emailed him back and I said, lovely to speak with you and we'd love to help you. But I educate. Here's the deal. I can't do that. And the reason why is my insurance. And I hope you can understand that the value that I provide you isn't just in fixing your car for this minute, but it's the long term. What if a part fails? What if there's a mistake made? We're all human. I need to have insurance in place for you for if something happens. And so therefore we can't. But I would be happy to help you and I'll supply the parts and you just come on in. And guess what? He says, no problem. I'll be right. I'll be there. I just need the car back by January 2nd.
I'm talking with Mike Zralik, a technical product specialist with Federal Mogul Motor Parts. Mike, are you an extension of the technical support center we all know as Garage Guru?
Most definitely. I spend a lot of time there. I'm involved in all the classes that go on there. I actually host classes there, such as our ASC test prep courses. So very much so an extension of that.
Mike, you're in the shop. So what's the greatest outcome that you see from the techs and service advisors that you're spending time with?
Not only are they learning about great product, but we get to talk shop. So I was in a shop earlier today and we were talking about some electrical diagnosis he was doing, and he was actually having a problem finding some schematics, and we were able to work with that and talk back and forth. So I was able to get educated on a problem he's having in the field, where I can share that with others and I can share other ideas from other people with him.
Do you actually put product in the hands of the technicians?
You have to. That's, in this industry, a lot of guys are like myself. You got to touch it, feel it, play with it. Just telling them about features and benefits isn't going to sell it. You put it in their hands, that's going to sell it hands down.
So you take the new Wagner OEX brake pad and you put it in someone's hands. What happens?
First thing they do is say, wow. And then they start asking questions about the unique design of it, the unique shape, and the purpose of that. And they're very blown away by the technology that we put into it. They're amazed by it, and they're loving it.
Eyes light up, aha moments.
You bet. And why is it taking so long to get this out in the market?
And I need them, and I want it right now.
Exactly.
Federal Mogul Motor Parts' Garage Gurus is your go-to source for the vehicle training, technology, and answers you need to keep your next job on track. On-site, online, or on demand, the Gurus are here to help keep your business and your career on the road to success. Visit fmgarageguru.com. So you told the value story, and, we did a podcast on installing parts, and it I would say that we were 66%, 70, 80% overwhelming that we need to stick with our guns and do the right thing. And there was a little bit of discussion what's going to happen with the power of Amazon and eBay out there selling billions of dollars worth of parts. Somebody is going to ultimately have to install these, but it can't be the ones in the industry that are working hard to improve the image and the quality of their people. And there's this incredible vicious circle that happens, either negative or positive, depending on the decision and the choice that you make.
That's absolutely right.
So husband and wife, work-life balance, when you drive in together?
We do. We drive in the morning. We drive home at night. And work-life balance can be a challenge, especially with 4 kids, and you get home and you're like, oh, did you do this? Or, oh, did you do that? And the kids will tell you, can we talk about something other than car clinic tonight, Mom and Dad? So the first couple of years, we heard that a lot. Can we talk about something else, Mom? Can we talk about something else? But with time, with coaching, with podcasts like yours, with our auto shop owners group, where we can bounce and talk about ideas and reorganize ourselves and learn things the biggest danger, I think, in business ownership is not knowing what you don't know. We have come up with some processes and things that help us leave it at the door, leave it, touch that tree. What is that thoughts tree, my problem tree, put my fingers on the problem tree. When I walk inside, it's all about the kids. So the last year and a half, we've done way better at that.
That's good, because it's not easy. You have to work at it.
A lot, and every day.
Are there things that you guys never talk about?
I don't think so. I don't know if we're unique or not, but we're unique in our friend group in that we work together. We don't seem to have any major issues. As I look over at him now to see, do we have any problems? No, we're just very open.
Excellent. You mentioned referrals just a little bit ago. Are you getting referrals just through the Happy Customer Network?
We get referrals definitely through our Happy Customer Network. My husband's part of a B&I group locally, and that networking is always really, really good. A lot of our vendors refer us. I've had referrals from people within the shop owners group. It's been good.
So give me an idea. You mentioned auto shop owners group. Do you see a lot about coming out from shop owners on that they're just not valuing themselves and they need to turn that corner?
Yes, which is the whole the whole thing that I saw with my husband, kind of give the shirt off of his back and not realizing his value. When we first started and we opened our business, and I said, Neil, I think we could do, let's aim for $10,000 weeks, right? Just me and him. Let's aim for $10,000 weeks. And he said to me, he goes, that's not even possible. It's not even possible, Bambi. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Anything's possible. Let's do it. No, it's not possible. And then since then, we've had $10,000 days, and he's like, I just never would have imagined. And going from understanding these shop owners, including my husband, amazing, brilliant, can do unbelievable things with these cars that we just I can't wrap my head around what they can do out there. It blows my mind. My brain it's not wired that way. So I find it amazing, and they find it commonplace. They find it, well, like everybody knows this. No, not everybody knows that. And the thing is, because they don't know that, that's your value. And you need to understand that's worth something. That's worth the time away from your family. That's worth the blood, sweat, and tears. Your knuckles get all beat up. You're having to go to see the chiropractor every other week. You've got to get your massages in. You've got to do these things to take care of that body, because that body is doing all of that hard work, and that mind is working through how those systems operate so you can diagnose it that other people can't do. It amazes me. There's great value in what you're worth, so you've got to charge it. You've got to make sure that your customer understands your value. You can't just come out and say, hey, I'm worth this, pay it. Well, it doesn't quite work like that. You've got to understand your value yourself, so that when that customer comes in and there's question or there's doubt, and you can explain it. Here's what we're doing for testing, right? Well, can't you just plug it in and tell me? Yes, I can plug it in, and that's a starting point, but then I need to do some testing. I need to get it in the right funnel, right? When I'm in the right funnel, then I need to do that pen testing and get down to what's really going on. That's not simple. Every time you go to the doctor, he's going to charge you for the MRI. He's going to charge you for the CAT scan. He's going to charge you for the x-ray. You got to charge for that blood work, and then you got to pay someone to read it. That's what's going on here, honey.
We talk so much on the podcast and, and just in network groups about the doctor analogy. And I think you summarized it so well. I really, really do. And we don't think enough about, I guess we just let insurance happen. All that stuff works underground, and then our copay comes in, or we see that the doctor just charged $895. I was there and I had to go for tests, and it cost me $100, whatever the number is. We fail to remember or to even realize the amount of work, expertise, education that's done at the other end. And I love what you're saying. Do you ever, in the face of a customer while you're selling value, ever bring up the doctor analogy?
Absolutely. Anytime they balk at paying for a diagnostic, or if they say, well, are you going to charge me for this? Well, if I do the work, are you just going to roll it in? No, sir. I've got to pay that technician for that time, for that, some techs and owners alike will think that they're less than because maybe they didn't get a bachelor's degree, right? But if you think about the experience they have, the amount of money they have invested, not only in their tools, but in their training classes, whether it's through WorldPac or O'Reilly or, ATI or Management Success or any of these, they have an education. They have an education, and they've gotten it via paying for tools, via paying for their training, via paying for it in years of experience. So do not devalue yourself or demean who you are based on the fact that it's not a college education. You are highly valued and very valuable.
Do you see this trend slowly changing?
Absolutely. I do see it changing, but it is a slow process, because not only are shop owners brilliant at what they do, we're a little stubborn because we're a little stubborn. Sometimes, we think we know it all, and sometimes we don't know what we don't know, and there's danger in not knowing what we don't know. And that's why reaching out for help. That's why this shop owners group I'm so passionate about it, because the number of one-man bands out there, the number of, I was a one-man band and now I've got 2 others working with me, but I'm still trying to, look over these technicians and run the front counter and answer the phones and get my payroll and pay my taxes. And what you don't know, you don't know. And shop owners, for the longest time, I would walk around here in my own, area and try to reach out to shop owners, and they're fearful of competition and the scarcity mindset. And I understand it, but it's not necessary, because we're not competing against one another. And the more that we combine and we share and we join our resources, the greater it's going to be. It's far better for our community. It's far better for us. It's far better for our employees. I just don't see a negative, I just don't see a negative.
Tell me a great story of someone that you knew that got up and over his ego and realized that he didn't know what he didn't know and said, I'm willing to learn. Have you heard or seen any just miraculous turnarounds?
Yes, I have talked to several owners. If you peruse the Auto Shop Owners group, you will catch posts almost weekly from someone saying how grateful they are for this group and that it's changing their life. I try to befriend a lot of these shop owners, and I want to know, I like the relationship aspect of it. I want to get in and I want to see that there's positive impact, but you'll see them comment about how small things, they're making calls to their customers. They've raised their labor rates. They've got their parts matrices in line. These are guys that were on the verge of, I'm about to close my doors, and this group has changed my mind. These are shop owners who give you the shirt off their back, but they've been beaten down by a public, by a media, by a vendor, by what they fear from competitors.
And just the challenge of being profitable, because if you don't have the profit, you can't do anything. Period. Case closed. End of story. The profit drives success. And it's almost like if you could just concentrate on one thing. If a shop owner is struggling and they say, well, I got to do all these 10 things. No, you'd almost want to just work on one thing and get it right, get it improved, get as much advice as you can on one single thing that will drive the greatest improvement in your profit.
That's right.
And then as soon as that happens, it's like, I got to do 2 and 3. No, then do the next one thing. And then the next one thing. And it could go on that at the end of a year, you could have 12 one things you've done and had a very big impact on the, and I do, I'm in your group. Thank you for allowing me to be there. And I see an awful lot of major discussions of multiple areas of improvement. And I think that you would find, Bambi, and tell me if I'm right or wrong, but there's a great reason to just concentrate on just one thing
at a time. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It can be overwhelming. I mean, it can be overwhelming running a business, and I think that the one thing that is prevailing, that is missing and is needed, is really clear understanding of your profit and loss statement and your P&L, because you can make a whole bunch of changes. You can invest a whole lot of money. You can pay a lot in advertising and hire all the wrong folks or all the right folks. But if you don't understand that P&L and how to manage your business by those numbers, no matter what you do, you're paying out, and you could be doing it the wrong way.
Yeah, you got to know your numbers. You gotta have fun with a calculator. Get out the yellow pad, write all over your P&L, highlight it, circle it, send it to a friend, and get an opinion or two as to where those improvements need to be. So many people say, P&L?
What's that? Yeah, I see it a lot.
Yeah, I know. Okay. Hey, are you afraid of anything?
I don't think so. No, I don't think there's any reason to be. I mean, I got God on my side.
There you go. The greatest challenge you're working on, that you and Neil are working on right now in the business?
Staffing, HR, staffing is always a challenge. And I've heard it on your shows before. I hear it in the ASOP, the Auto Shop group all the time. Staffing is definitely a challenge. And we're working for 2018, we're working on our culture here, and making sure that in addition to our processes and everything being aligned, that we're also fun, because you can go one way on one side of the spectrum to the other. So we're about balance and culture in 2018.
Thanks for bringing that up. And every time someone comes on the podcast and they say something and it sparks a synapse for me. We just recently did an episode, and it was the Town Hall Academy on culture, revving up your culture. And I have to tell you, it is just so powerful. We just released one on millennials. And I have to tell you, if there's two audio books that you actually need to listen to from the podcast, it would be the one on culture and the one on millennials. And it is that almost the millennial one is like the quintessential blueprint, because if we're going to seed our industry with the youth, the 72 million millennials that are out there that hopefully come into work for us, and maybe they'll stick around because sometimes they don't. How do we really engage, and how do we really lead them? Great episode. Thank you for that. Are you pre-booking? Are you pre-booking appointments?
We were not, and that's been feedback we've received from several different people along the years. I've found that it is challenging if you don't get words that are easy for you to use. So we now do. We have a little script that we've got, but Mary has her own and I have my own. Because if I give you words that are not out of your mouth, you'll never say them. So absolutely, we are now, but that's like in the last 2 weeks thing.
Mechanically, Bambi, do you say to the customer, hey, get out your smartphone and let's set an appointment? Is that almost like a physical to-do? Does that help?
I've not asked them that. I did hear that on your show the other day. I think it was with Todd and all of them. And I thought, well, that's interesting. And their whole oil change, I removed your sticker and put one up, and I'm like, wow, that's really assertive. That's crazy. So, but we'll see how we can implement that and still make it feel like it's the customer's choice. I don't have them pull out their phone, but our process is one that we try to work on a lot of imports. We really try to focus on, I'm using quality oils, and I want to see my cars twice a year. So let's get you scheduled in for 6 months, just like you're cleaning with your dentist. And that flows well for me. Mary's got a little different, way that she does it with the customers, but they're actually really receptive to it. And I thought, well, this is weird, because I was doing that prejudging thing. How would I feel about that? But they're really receptive. So we need to see you back here in about 6 months. And then we're going to do, it's like your spring cleaning for your teeth, or we're going to do the air filter and the brake fluid, when you come in for your oil service in the spring. And then in the fall, we're going to look at your coolant and this, or whatever it may be.
If you could go back in time and do one thing over in starting the business, what would it be?
I would have gotten coaching before we started the business. I would have hired a coach. The minute Neil and I decided this is what we were going to do in January of 2012, I would have been on the horn with a business coach. It's only, you don't know what you don't know, and we just didn't even know they existed at that point.
You still have one now?
Absolutely.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
And have you had the coach ever since the last 3 years? Are you continuing? Some guys and ladies get a coach, drop it after a couple of years. What's your story?
Yeah, so we were with MS for a few years, and then we were without a coach for a while, and we've been trialing, interviewing, I should say. We've been interviewing, and we've made a decision on a coach that we are starting with in January.
Good for you. I so believe in the business coach of our industry. And when I started to do the podcast and was interviewing, one of the common denominators was that 90% of them had a business coach.
Right.
They put up their hand and says, I didn't know what I didn't know. And a business coach really, really opened my eyes to these 35 to 40 different aspects of what running a great business is all about.
That's right. But I'll tell you one other thing. We are so blessed in our industry. You know, a lot of things are not great, but there are a lot of things that are. I have friends that have plumbing companies, HVAC companies. My friend Brian owns a printing company, and we've got our own little mastermind, and we meet once a month, and there's nobody within the same industry in this mastermind. So we share a lot of ideas. And one of the things that I've shared in that group is how powerful our coaching has been, and about this auto shop owners group. And Brian specifically said, Bambi, can you find, I've looked, can you find a coaching company that specializes in printing? And I couldn't. I looked and I thought, what a blessing for the automotive industry. We have that available to us. And these companies have decided to specialize in our industry to specifically help us. I think that's amazing.
Good story, and I like that. You are really saying that our industry is blessed.
We are.
Because of the amount of help that we have, and helping each other, I think has become, and I know with what you're doing with Auto Shop Owners Group, it's becoming one of the biggest, most philanthropic things that our industry could ever have, is that we're willing to reach out and help each other, unselfishly. I've always said your job shouldn't be to put your competitor out of business. It should be to help them be better, because, when you think about the independent side of the business, in the beginning, what did you say? Image. We need to have everyone get to a new level, and that is one of the ways that we're going to change the image that the public has. Measuring success, everybody says, no doubt, it's the bottom line, the net operating profit. Is there anything else that you and Neil look at? Is it car count, cash flow, ARO, that you say is also a really critical number?
I think that, numbers to measure our success are pretty much standardized. Our average repair order, our gross profit, we look at net profit. Do I have money in the bank? It doesn't matter how high my gross profit is. Do I have money in the bank is really important. Can I sleep at night? That's a number for me, is can I sleep at night? Do I feel like I'm leaving the automotive industry in a better place at the end of every day? Those are things for me personally that matter. Am I taking time to better someone other than myself today? So there's a lot of numbers out there that you can focus on. And I'm probably not the best at focusing on the numbers that I should. I'm going to be working with a stellar coach in January who's going to work with me on that. But I'll tell you, for me, I try to take all the actions that I can take and follow his word. And I believe very strongly that he will take care of me if I'm taking care of the relationships in my life.
Any big concern or threat to the business?
There's a lot of things going on in our business today, with Amazon and, these mobile mechanics, and download this app and you can get a mechanic right to your house. And I think our landscape is changing. You got Repair Pal and all these things. Our landscape is changing. And I don't know the answer to all that. I don't want to be the one left holding the bag going, I wasn't, nimble enough to change in the time frame. But at the same time, I struggle understanding how we're going to diagnose over the internet and how I'm going to make sure that customer's safe, and they're carrying their babies in those cars. And those babies need to be warm, and they need to be safe, and they don't need to have leaks, and they don't need to have a lot of vibrations. And I can't diagnose that from the internet. Great point.
There's probably things that are going to happen that are not even invented yet, but you're not losing sleep over that. It seems to me you're just paying such great attention to your business, giving such value to your customer. Let it happen. And I'm not going to close my eyes. I'm going to open, embrace it, figure out how I fit. Am I saying all these things right?
Yep. And I may not know all the answers, but I'm building the relationships, and I firmly believe at my core that that's where it's at.
Yeah. How do you have a cold app relationship? Apps are transactional in my mind.
Right.
And consultative selling, relationship selling is the magic of the human interconnection.
That's right. And that's where loyalty is formed, and that's where trust is formed. And that's who I want to be. That's who I want to work with.
Hey, do you ever just carve time out just to think?
Every week. Mm-hmm. Every week. I've got my husband is the best. I'm just going to tell you, he's amazing. And I have time every week with a house of 4 babies and a grandbaby and my husband and I and our dog and our cat and anything else that decides to join us. 7,000 pounds of laundry, it feels like, every week. But I have to have that time alone where I can regroup, where I can put my thoughts on paper. What are my goals for the week? I'm an old school, everybody wants to pull out their phones. I'm running on paper and pens, and don't tell anybody, they'll judge me.
I'm going to tell you something. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just like it. And it seems to me, Bambi, if you were going to interview me, I would be telling you the reason that I write it down is it's amazing how I can remember. If I type it, it's one thing. I remember it. But when I write it, it's almost like it's mine.
Mm-hmm. It is. And back in grammar school days, and you got in trouble, you were writing those lines on the board and you remembered.
Did I ever tell you the time that I had to write 1,000 times I will not talk in the corridor? It's another story for a completely different time, but it's the truth. And it was given to me on my birthday when I was in 6th grade. And I'll never forget that. It's a story. It's kind of one of those impression things. Somebody says write lines. Bing! I will not talk in the corridor. And in fact, I had to go look up what the word corridor meant.
Corridor meant. That's funny.
Oh, good story.
So did you ever talk in the corridor again?
Never, no. But I became so close to that teacher that I saw that teacher up until just, say, 5 years ago.
Wow, that's awesome.
It was one of those, thank you so much for the discipline.
You're like, I needed it. I appreciate it.
She says, boy, did I ever scar you for life.
Aww.
Anyway, hey, 3 adjectives, Bambi, to describe you.
Wow. Detailed, very detailed, I would say. Inquisitive. I don't do much that I'm told unless I understand why. I got to know the why behind it, and I got to make sure that it's in line with my beliefs and that I agree with it. So detailed, inquisitive, passionate. I think passionate's a big word for me. I really care.
Very, very good. I can relate to all of those. You had mentioned, I was just thinking about, you said, I've got to carve out that time for me to think. And I think our listener would like to know, with all the laundry and all the kids and everything that's going on in work, where and when do you find that time?
Man, you don't find it. You make it. It's a priority. It's like, God and 4:00 in the morning for me. But my planning, my thinking is Sundays. It's usually in the evening. It can range anytime from 7 to 10 when I can get away. It's not hard set, and I call it my bookstore. It's really a coffee shop just down the road from the house. But I have to get away. If I can't, you can't be in your own environment to get out of the box and think about what you've got going on. You have got to step outside of that, your everyday.
So do you make a date with yourself?
Mm-hmm.
That's just excellent. Hey, the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
That's a good one. I've been given a lot of advice. Get in the Word for me. Get in the Word.
What's that mean?
Get in your Bible.
Got it.
Get in the Word.
Any guilty pleasures?
Starbucks is good.
Now, there's value, $4 for a cup of coffee, right?
Oh, it's terrible. Man, I'm just telling you, it's if you're going to be willing to pay for that every single day.
Don't worry about your customer.
That's right. That's right.
Very good. Hey, can you make customers for life?
Yeah, absolutely, you can. Absolutely, but you can't do it when you're operating transactionally.
Love that final piece. Bambi, thanks for being on the show. Car Clinic Auto Service and Repair in Lowell, Arkansas, with her and husband Neil. Any great wise words of wisdom as a final thought to our listener?
I would just tell you to value yourself, talk with other professionals, always be reaching up. No matter where you are, you can reach up. And don't forget to hold your hand down to bring up the guy behind you. That's what I would say.
Send the elevator down.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Hey, thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
Man, I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Carm, for having me, and be happy to talk anytime.
Hey, thank you, Bambi Crozier, for your very passionate outlook and vision for changing the image of the automotive. If you related to Bambi, then you found some insights and ideas that you can implement to set you up for even greater success. It takes a degree of personal accountability and stick-to-itiveness to grow and develop as a CEO of your business. And keep in mind, you are part of the fix to improve the image of our industry. Focus on your culture, your customer, and learning all you can on leading your team to prosperity. And thanks for tuning in. There's no better resource in the audio realm for aftermarket professionals like Remarkable Results Radio. Don't forget, the catalog of wisdom is there for you. From the Tag Cloud to the series to the well-cataloged archives, your learning curve never sounded so good.
Thanks for being on board to listen and learn from the premier automotive aftermarket podcast. Until next time,